This discovery claim, released in 2023, my statement is what you're about to see needs to be considered as a theory only for now due to the sensitivity of the subject material. It's the secret that changes everything, and this is why I chose that title for my big 2-hour documentary where the story is taken further. The secrets of Lady Liberty have been argued about, for centuries, and it's because of this. The similarity it has to Mithras. We're going to look at Mithras' origins from Helios to Mithra to Mithra. There's so many different legends of something so big, it is not surprising that there are multiple legends on this story throughout the whole of basically ancient Europe. At the main underground station, the Grand Central in New York, they have a cosmic theme that has been placed onto the ceiling, a decoration of the cosmos. It has a very controversial origin. Who did it, why they did it, and the changes they made to it leave a bit of a secret, because it's showing Taurus on the wrong side of Orion. I'm going to put it back to the normal Taurus, okay? This is the way Taurus appears, looking from that orientation at Orion. So it's Orion's belt, you follow through to the bullseye to find the Pleiades and the exoplanet that I'm speaking about. And I've got this weird piece here that I want to look at closely as well. So that's what it should look like, but for reasons unknown, they made it look like this. Why would they make it look like this? This is just weird, very, very weird. I mean, Orion has not turned his head. Let's just do that again. The correct astronomical depiction, the altered astronomical depiction. It's either being absolutely stupid, which I don't think it is, or it's trying to tell a story about Taurus in this orientation, which is a mirror image. Now, why is it asking us to consider a mirror image? That is the secret clue here. But the area on the back of the bull, where the Pleiades are, if you look very closely, it's some kind of weird, either foreign language in joining writing. There's the star of the gods, I think, in my opinion, because it's in the right direction. It's Pleiades here and then the star. So my question is, why have they left that message to look for the mirror image of Taurus? Okay, let's start from the origins of this sun king, or the sun illuminated deity. It starts with Mithra. This was an ancient Iran relief showing the sun crown origins. What's so amazing about it is historians refer to this particular relief as a solar trinity. You see that? One big one, smaller one, and a smaller one. But there's even more on the shoulders here, because all three carry all three suns. And it's the same as the Genesis stone, which is from the same area, obviously. It's a Trinity artifact from the Berlin Museum, Kuduru VA 3031. There's cosmic serpents in here as well, and I'm going to be reasoning that, why they hold this ring. Just like on the back of this artifact, the deity is holding the ring, the bull's eye star gate. Okay, so let's go through its origins. The origins of Mithras, or sun kings or sun deities. They were all tied in with bull worship as well, so it's bull and sun god origins. I would say Atlantis would have been where it all started, over 12,800 years ago. Sumer, Europe, Africa, India, all have references to these sun deities. And there's the legend of Prometheus, which we're going to look into. There's a huge, important link here. Sumer, pre-4,000 years ago, solar trinity Mithra, also found in India, becomes associated with Gilgamesh. So that's probably the next timeline from around about 4,000 years ago. There's more records, so it became more of an obsession. The pre-Christian era, Mithra becomes Mithra. Okay, so these are two different stories, two different legends, but I'm saying they're the same, and other scholars have said the same thing. Associated with Helios and a pantheon of named gods, and some say includes the Christ. While I mentioned such a sensitive subject, take this image for example. This comes from an a historical painting of the Christ with 3 sun halos, and it's got a stargate with it and a sacred feminine deity passing through. That's all in the big documentary. But the 3 on a shoulder like that, 1 behind the head, 2 on the shoulder, that's exactly what we have here. 1 large one, 2 on the shoulder, and of course these 2 are with the story in my main documentary, the stargates that were shut down. Only this one was operational, where our biggest human origins seem to stem from. They're pretty much out of the picture. So Mithra then becomes Mithras. Mithra becomes Mithras. Okay, so this is where our biggest story lies. All the clues are in here, and a new discovery we're going to look at. The secret torchbearer society followed. You're going to see that as well. It then evolves into many secret societies because of the fear due to its heretic content. It was blasphemous. In those days, ancient secret societies, their fear was being caught out by the public and punished for looking at different beliefs other than the main religion. I think what this deity is holding in his hand here is not a sword. I think it's pretty likely that it's a torch. And we'll see why later on when we look at some other ancient vases that show this weird shaped torch. So we're going to look at that as well. I've got some breakthrough findings with the word mythology. Where does that word originate from? First of all, let's look at what it means. Definition based on scholars' insistence. This is 2023. If you use the word mythology, you're referring to the subject of ancient events of a paranormal nature involving people and occurrences with supernatural claims that are deemed fantasy. We're going to have to reevaluate that after 2027, the date of first contact, which I've shown in my 2-hour documentary. Fantasy is not going to be an issue anymore. It's going to be seen that these claims were based on real events, that they all did it all over the world because real things happened. The word origin reassessment. The origin of the spoken word myth has been argued over for decades. I offer a very likely source here. They're all involving sun and bull obsession cultures. So most of mythology is about sun and bull obsessions and some kind of paranormal events. Now here's the thing. Mithra became Mithra, which became Mithras. Mythology. Isn't it obvious? Is that a coincidence? Let's leave it at that and just see what happens from here forward. Sun and bull worship. One of the most amazing depictions of the basis of sun and bull worship is in the Dendara temple. And it's a ceiling mural. And I just noticed recently this little piece here. We're going to be looking at that. The rib cage, if it's a rib cage, which I don't think it is. And of course the sickle crescent and a sun and the bull that's smiling. The word origin, as you see here. I've got to bring this in right here and now. It's a well-known repeating phrase in Sumerian texts that speak of a curse to those who are disobedient. Gilgamesh will shower you with cow patties from above. Okay, so I think that's where this word originated from. Yeah, here's the thing. When this subject became taboo, the subject of the place of the Torah gods became forbidden, they used this word. Anyone heard speaking on this subject would be shouted at using the word. That is a theory. I'm sure it's not the first time you heard it. It makes a lot of sense. Because that is a forbidden story. So anybody heard talking about it, they would be shouted at with that mannerism, probably in ancient languages. Here we go. That strange symbol on the bull's top part of his thigh is telling a story. That's not a thigh muscle. It's the Osiris Walduck. Osiris as Orion has this weird kind of headdress. And when you put it in that position like a puzzle piece, his face looks down at the leg of the bull. And that's what the bull is trying to tell you to do as well. Look at the leg of the bull and follow it. Now let's look at the rib cage. 3 that are spaced equally could be a rib cage. But then when it does this, there's something else happening here. It's literally like a shockwave coming off this leg of the bull to go in that direction. The secret of what this leg of the bull means. It's all about that. The sun that is found on the back of the Taurus area, and of course the sickle crescent. And I explain in astronomy, astronomical stories, The only way you get a sickle crescent is like in an eclipse with the moon and the sun, and in this case an exoplanet and a sun. You will have this unique sickle-shaped crescent. It does not happen in moon phases at all, so references to this being the moon, it's fake, not true. There's an amazing extra piece of information here with the Osiris Waldock that is shown on the Taurus bull thigh as a way shower to find the Star of the Gods. The hat itself is actually showing the way. It's saying that Orion, if this is the representation of Orion, as we see in the Dendara zodiac disc, Orion was Osiris with his Waldock, as you follow from Sirius, double binary star, through the belt of Orion, through to Taurus, and then the Taurus bull is turning his head to look at what is on the back of the bull, and then they enlarge it on the Dendara disc. That's a whole story on its own in my 2-hour documentary. So Osiris is actually showing the way to the Star of the Gods. So it's either using Orion or using the bull's leg. And that's pretty much the Dendara bull telling his biggest secret there. So there's Taurus, there's that main beast sort of shape formation, the bull's eye. The leg of the bull is that star formation that is the myth of the leg being severed in the Mithras cult, the severing the leg of the bull and it set it free, and it's that little shape in the heavens, that little constellation shape, and you follow the alignment to find an exoplanet and a sun-like star, which is a real sun-like star, HD 283271. So that's part of it. And then of course there's the Orion's belt following to find that sun-like star. You either use the leg of the bull or following through from Orion's belt through the bull's eye, shooting an arrow through the bull's eye. That is the legend of the arrow and the bull's eye, in my opinion. I'm sure it's pretty obvious that started it. When you're talking about shooting an arrow at the bull's eye, it's the secret of our human origins. If anybody's watching the Apple TV series called Silo, you'll see in episode 7, this titled episode, The Flame Keeper. It's quite amazing that this came up because it's like the universe sort of niggling at me. It's time to do this video because the protagonist finds out some people secretly kept forbidden relics that prove their amazing origins. People living in a silo underground on a planet, believing they're the only ones on the planet actually, and their powers that be created rules that proof of anything before that. They found a book that showed people river rafting as a relic that is absolutely illegal to be caught with because of what it would do to the people in the silo. They would rebel and want to know the truth. They were called the Flame Keepers, and that's a very important part of the theme of this video because it starts with Prometheus. Prometheus is the legendary god that rebelled and stole secrets about the gods to give to all humanity. There's a hand gesture in all these secret paintings we're looking at. He's pointing to the sky, okay? He's holding a torch. He is a torch bearer. This is the first torch bearer right here, and I would say from Atlantis. The secret of human angelic origins, the bloodline, and the secret origin and the path of the soul. It's both the spiritual and bloodline secrets that he wanted to bring forward to all humanity. What went wrong there? You know exactly what went wrong, and I'll show you in the next slide. First of all, I think he came from Atlantis, as my new Atlantis book is documenting. But this secret to all humanity became something only for 1%. He was intending it for the 99% as well. Looking at some paintings that are encoded, this particular one, I've got the definition of where it came from down here. There's a caduceus, which is a symbol for the tree of life, the winged disc. It should be a round object on the top with flies, the cosmic serpents. This is all part of the secret. The rainbow bridge, like Norse mythology. What we have here is an angel with a star crown and a torch. And this is supposed to be Helios, again, with these arrows. There's an encoded story in here. There's a lot more happening here. And of course we have the torchbearer. Now look at the fingers pointing, one up and one to the sun. Okay, these are the important things. Helios is also showing what's behind him. You use this arrow to find the secret of the sun that makes him a sun deity. Here's another painting I think is pretty amazing. The allegory of St. Peter. It's in Munich in Germany, a ceiling mural in a church. And what we have here is supposed to be the God the Father, God the Son, the Christ is here, and he's beckoning, he's pointing, and his hand towards the cross. There are 7 rays. Remember this symbol? Okay, these are all symbolism secrets that teach over story. St. Peter is here with his keys. Helena. Who is Helena? Helena was the mother of Constantine, and she was a torchbearer. That's pretty amazing. Follow the alignment of the cross. That's very important. I'll show you that on a biblical reference as well, knowing that you follow the cross of Orion to find, well, this illuminated star that is in the position. And of course the torch keepers are teaching about it here. And this man is pointing. It's all about these people pointing. And is that the Vatican here? Question. Look very carefully at the emblem. Okay, what we have here is it's the 1892 Bible that actually shows Orion as the cross of the churches, in my opinion, and I've decoded it on the 2-hour documentary. Follow that alignment of the cross to a cluster of stars, and then it's the story of Jacob's ladder and what comes down from it. You'll see how important that is in the documentary about the bloodline from the people following from Orion's belt through to that. Okay, so that cross alignment to the torch is not a surprise at all. Looking up close, Constantine is pointing and he's putting one hand on his heart as if to say, my opinion, and then there's this. What is this eagle and the globus cruciger actually saying? 7 rays of light, you saw that? Okay. It's the emblem of the Vatican. He is pointing to the Vatican, so that is that secret. This is the story of the Vatican. There's something secret about the star knowledge with the Vatican. And Constantine is pointing to the eagle. Now I'm going to enhance this area right here. The symbol of the eagle in all my ancient artifacts I've found so far is to symbolize the founding of civilization. And if that's true, the founding civilizations have their claw over the secret of the orb and the cross. This is the earth turning while the cross is steady in the heavens, because it's the Orion constellation. And that is in the 2-hour documentary, so you need to obviously see more about that in the big documentary. Here's a coin that shows Constantine's basic interest in when he first started. This is his name here, Constantine. Okay, so this is a Constantine coin. There's a lot happening here. Scholars are saying that he is shown with a sun deity, Helios or Mithras, you can decide. And he has a rod, I don't think it's a sword in this case, pointing to his cross in the heavens. So let's see now what is on his shield. That's where the secret lies, right there. The rod's secret clue shows the way. Is it Sun Invictus? Is it Mithras? Is it Helios? Well, here's how you can see for yourself. They're the 4 horses. So it's a Helios story to start with, people venerating him, a sun with a cross on it, and this little guy on the top with a crown, with the sun crown, which is exactly what we have in the main part of the coin, a star symbol, crescent symbol, and this below. And of course we have that, the torchbearer. That's exactly what he's showing here, that there's some kind of Mithras connection with Constantine. 2 small sun-like stars, one main important one that you use the cross to find it. Now that's exactly what we found on the Sumerian artifacts. I found it in ancient artifacts all around the world. 3 suns are always important, one that has a cross over it because you use the cross to find the most important position, and then there's 2 on each side of it, and then a slight triangulation as you see here. That is the common symbology for these 3 sun stars in the area of the Pleiades in Taurus. Okay, Helios. Look at a vase. On most of the Helios depictions you see 4 horses and the guy with his sun crown in the heavens. Are they really horses? I think we've got to look at what they really mean, because some vases show it like that, and some show the whole sun turning into a gateway, a portal where he's coming out of it, part of it behind it, and these cosmic serpent conduits that he is riding. Now look carefully at Helios's headdress. This is exactly like the headdress of Mithras. Is it our sun? Is it his sun star? Is it his sun portal? Is it spiritual glow? What is this halo? The origin of the halo is what we're questioning. What if it created the original meaning of a king's crown? I've mentioned that already as well. Definitely yes, but it's definitely, in my opinion, a sun-like star and a halo of great wisdom and knowledge and enlightenment. Now the origin of the torchbearer you see on this Greek vase, it's quite common, there's many of them. They show this weird shape, and the legend of the torch is passing on knowledge from Prometheus to other people to bring forward in time, from one initiate to another, to bring the secret forward. And of course it was adapted for the use of marathon running in ancient Greece. But look at the shape of this weird torch. It's exactly what we saw earlier on with the Mithras torch. So it's probably a torch. So he has his sun crown and his torch. That's quite important, because I hadn't found one until then of the two together, with torch and sun crown. Okay, so that's that one. Now Hercules legends sometimes depict him with a cosmic bull, and he is a torch bearer. He is carrying the torch as well. So the Hercules story is tied to Prometheus. And he's pointing again. Don't forget those secret symbols. It's as if the bull is trying to point as well, but in this case, just take it for granted, there are many deities that are promoting the bull of the sky, the Taurus constellation. And in my 2-hour documentary, I go through the star map very carefully. Basically what it's showing is Mithras severing the leg of the bull. I'm going to show you the decoded version. He's severing this leg constellation. This is the legend of how it became 7 stars on his back in a portal. That's the cloak symbol, and 3 suns and 3 exoplanets. And you follow as well down a cosmic serpent to the direction of Scorpio. When you view from the stars of the Pleiades and view our sun, that's where our sun is depicted. So there's a lot going on here. There it is. That is a cosmic serpent there, and it's Mithras severing the leg of the bull. It's a star map, and it's a big part of the 2-hour documentary, and you'll see why. This is the way you follow from the bull's leg to find the primary soul one in that triangulation. 2 less important, 1 very important, that aligns with the bull's leg, as it does so right there. Okay, ancient Egypt. This is the most important part of ancient Egypt, is the sun temple with a gold capstone, and it would have been green if it's over 8,000 years ago. It was an area still recovering from the flood. It would have been just like that, and laid out, no doubt, in the shape of a bull's leg. And that is the Egyptian star map that is part of the 2-hour documentary. It's all about that star correlation with Sol 1. So this leg of the bull is common in ancient civilisations. It's spoken of as the 7 eternal stars, as you see here, and that's the vault of heaven. From that symbol, coffin lids show it, some better than others. Now look at that little layout composition of the 7 stars. Okay, it is, in this specific case, just like the Pleiades, and they even highlight the ones that you're following down through there. Okay, they're in different positions. Things can move over time perhaps, or they're just emphasizing to follow alignment from the leg of the bull. In the story of Mithras, there's many that show him emerging out of the rock. This is very similar to the story of St. Peter, where he's Mithras of the rock. One hand he has the cleaver that he severs the leg of the bull, and the other hand the torchbearer. And while I was looking through all these, I wanted to see if I could find one that shows both torch and the sun crown, because in it we're going to find a lot more. And I kept looking, and we will find it. Mithras is of the rock, just as the legend of St. Peter. Right, look at this mural. Who is that person in the picture? Because he's carrying the cleaver and the torch, just like Mithras. So if this is St. Peter, and by the way, there's the source where it comes from. 5 paintings were done by this person, Pietro di Giovanni, and one of them is said to be of St. Peter, but it's so controversial they don't want to pinpoint which one it is, and I think it's this one, specifically by the way he looks here as well. And he is dealing with an initiate that is staring at the torch. He is bringing forward, as a torchbearer, the knowledge to more people. Still a Vatican story here. St. Peter was the let's call it the most important person in the story of the Basilica of the Vatican City. It's all about St. Peter and his knowledge that he brought forward. Now we come to what I think is the most amazing discovery of finding a Mithras picture and a torch together. This is amazing. It's a breakthrough from 1996. The torch-bearer Mithrium is being what it's named. A church ruin floor in Hawaii in the war-ravaged Syria collapsed, and beneath it they found this Mithrium. It's a temple, an ancient secret temple for a secret society, and it was an ancient Roman type temple, which is the Mithrium, one that showed sacred cosmic serpents. You'll see parts of them here. They even showed them the right color, and a 25th of December ritual of Sol Invictus, just like the Helios story, just like the Sol Invictus story. It's about a sunlight star. Shortly after, the photographer who took that image made it public. A secret group removed the entire wall portion with it. They cut it out to take it away secretly. Who are these people? Some kind of black ops? It showed something forbidden, and that is the biggest clue. And that's what really got the conspiracy theories going. That's what it shows. Wow. Is that Mithras? Some say because there's a lot missing here, but that was always missing in the ruin. He has the arrow to show the way, and some say, but that is Mithras, yeah, because he's got his red cloak and he is the one ordaining a follower, an initiate with sacred knowledge. He has his hands open in receiving his anointing, his initiation. This is just like Lady Liberty. How we have the two together, and that's going to be a big deal because there's more to follow with the cosmic serpents and what it all means. Robert Flood, famous Rosicrucian, has this amazing ancient document that he has pieced together from ancient records somewhere. The sacred feminine is shown here, chained to the heavens. There's a Hebrew name there for perhaps God. Chaining its one arm, and then the other arm, it is chaining a secret about the apes on planet Earth, an invasion of planet Earth, as my theory has explored recently. What I'm showing is basically this. I think this is Sophia or Nut or Baphomet. It's a sacred feminine that carries the star secret. There's the solar trinity and the Pleiades. Let's have a look at that again. Right there, Pleiades, sun-like star, and it's to do with that, basically showing the secret right there of sacred beginnings, the genesis of humanity from the stars. One tied to the Pleiades, and then her birthing, as Baphomet birthing the most important sun star. There's the ape holding what looks like a star globe. There's more stories about the Homo sapiens, and Sol 2 I think is here. If you look very carefully, there's a little bit more story to it right there. Sun and moon of our Earth. There is our Earth right there. And there's probably three suns placed in front of each other as a background to explain the three that are on her body. Her crown, look very closely at that crown there. There's a lot more going on in this image. So it's the chains bind the secret of the solar trinity, star map and Pleiades, two hidden records about God and the unity of all race by equality of the cosmic bloodline. Sol 2 and Sol 3 are also here. There is Sol 1, the largest one of the three. Up close you can see the chains more importantly, but look at her crown. Is this not the Mithric seven-pointed star crown? That is my question. I just want to go through the important attributes here. Liberty crown, posed like a giant statue. 1 foot is on an island. Look at that. This is very much like the Colossus of Rhodes, but it's a feminine deity. Alright, it's a sun deity goddess, Nut, Baphomet, Sophia, definitely. I also want to quickly point out there is Sol 1 being birthed. Sol 2, and in my first book I wrote as where humans seem to naturally evolve from apes before they could space travel, and our ancestors were the colonists of that Sol 1, which was the whole story of where they came from. Okay, so it's a human origin secret, and there's a star clustered by her feet. Think of that little story. If it's Lady Liberty, star clustered by her feet, right there. Under lock and chains, we've just covered that. And it's not a torchbearer, because she is chained. Her secret is under lock and key. Coincidence? Liberty has chains broken by her feet. That explains exactly why she's a torchbearer. She wants to get the secret out to humanity. So, the Colossus of Rhodes, 280 BC, Helios, Mithras lighthouse, almost identical height as Liberty. This has a kind of a Rosicrucian background. Rhodes Island, Greece. Okay, that's the site where this once amazing statue was built, almost the same height as Liberty. But scholars have now reassessed the whole picture. This is one of many legends of what it looked like. The most important for me is the Rosicrucian part of it, or the Mithras arrow as Helios. But there's more here. They say it was a lighthouse. So this was built to be a functional lighthouse. Now people need to climb up to maintain whatever was burning up there. But as a torchbearer, being Mithras, absolutely expected by many scholars' opinion. The crown would have been more like the Mithras crown as well, with the exact 7 points shown as we have shown here. Also, according to Gustav Eiffel, who helped build the Liberty statue, and his engineering skills of the substructure, the inner structure, said that the Colossus could never have had the arm out loose. It would have to be almost adhered to the head, because they built it out of pretty much iron and very basic steel and bronze. So that is more likely what it looked like. So we're rebuilding exactly what it looked like. The next thing he said was, you can't have the feet straddling the water, because the structural design in that era would not facilitate. It would need to have its cloak covering it down, almost like a pyramid type effect. I've been generous, yeah, because they say the feet were definitely part of the ruins, so it did show its feet, but there's no ways it could straddle across the water crossing. So there's another massive thing that Gustav Eiffel identified. Now, look at what it looks like, and compare it to the Statue of Liberty. It's almost the same thing. One male, one female. But let's be fair now, this is bronze. What happens with bronze in an ocean environment over hundreds of years? She'll be exactly, I should say. This is the male anatomy, female anatomy, both sun gods, sun deities, bringing the torch secret forward. She would be he. You can argue if that is really a man for Lady Liberty. I think it's the sacred feminine. But here is what it would have looked like. It's basically just the male form of the Statue of Liberty. This is the Colossus, and we are now referring to Liberty as the new Colossus. Wouldn't it be nice if it had the name New Colossus, and then there's no arguments about if it represented the exact version, just a feminine version of the Colossus of Rhodes? Well, if I told you that name is on the base of the monument. There it is. It was called the New Colossus. Wow. Can it get more obvious? It's the hidden hand gesture pointing. Now, people don't know this. Very few do, but I think it might have been mentioned already with some researchers. Why is the index finger right here pointing upward? Let's take away the torch and the crown. Right there. Wow. Pointing to the heavens. Who is this person, Lady Liberty? Well, we've just seen that mural, and I think the truth of the matter is she is a truth keeper. She is the torchbearer of an ancient secret of human origins. There's the whole thing. The secret of Lady Liberty. She's a flame keeper of the secret of the heavenly origins of humankind. Her index finger pointing to the sky beckons one to view her secret from the heavens as seen by those that come from above. So think about it. When Lady Liberty was first built, there weren't many people flying around in aircraft then, and the people that built it, also a very controversial person of secret society, he chose his position to place her for a good reason, to reveal her secret. But when seen from above, we need to look from above. Right there, I've enlarged it. Manhattan Island. Lady Liberty is mounted on a star. Is this a star map? And is this the leg of the bull? Because it should be if it has a Mithras connection. There's the first picture of Lady Liberty when she was completed. Coincidence? They decorated her with a star cluster and a crescented world. In the Sweden map by Martin Mologov, great discovery recently, that he found that Stockholm, Sweden, has an identical connection to star map New York. Now we'll compare with New York, but first let's just show you the exit marks the spot here, right down here. That this is the same as New York. The island, there it is, makes like a bull's leg, showing the way through to the small little island. And what's here is probably where all the clues to decode the star map are found. It's the City Hall. And in the City Hall, guess what? We have this amazing mural with Orion's Bell, Taurus, Lady Liberty, in my opinion, shown as another deity here as a flame keeper, the torchbearer, the Ra star with the beam of light. It's all here, the whole star map and the star gate. I'm going to show you up close, and the leg of the bull. It's basically saying this island is the leg of the bull because the buildings match what we find on the island. The historical buildings are on this island, and they're showing it in the shape of a leg of a bull. What's important with the ancient Egyptian story is there's my Egyptian star map, the Senma tomb star map, with the leg of the bull followed down through Atlas and Pleione of the Pleiades, and you find a sun-like star. This is the Ra symbol for sun, and in my opinion, sun-like star. It includes sun-like stars, sun, same thing. And the story of following the three stars in the title of the leg of the bull. And we have it right here, and the beam of light coming down from it, as we see here, is all there. Now, what else do we have here? The Royal Palace has a cross formation on its floor area, aligning. It's showing the Orion component, showing the way through to the same X marks the spot. And the X that marks the spot is the Ridar Holman Church. Now we look closely at the mural. I'm going to zoom in on the best parts of it. Okay, first of all we have Sirius, the belt stars of Orion, the bullseye, the brightest one, then the star of the ancestors behind the back of the bull's face. Now he is turning his head again to look at his bullseye star, but he is also showing a lot more behind his back. There's the male and female combination as almost like gods coming out of this beam of light. So the beam of light association is associated with them. She is actually looking and putting her hand up at that sun star Ra symbol, and he is holding the position of the sun star on the back of the bull, which is correct. And of course the leg of the bull, you can see the buildings in it that match the island. 7 hair strands for the 7 rays of the angel, the beam of the torchbearer, flame keeper. Gonna put all the labels in now so you can see everything. I think it's like an Adam and Eve depiction, as we saw on the Dendara zodiac analogy, with the first male, first female are tied to that star. There are 3 suns also shown on the back of a cosmic line, which is a whole different story in my star map representation of the cosmic dragon serpent. The leg of the bull we just discovered. Okay, it means that it represents the Pleiades, but the crown is going to show a whole lot more here, so look very closely. Mark Scott actually came up with this first and said, look, you do realize that this crown has a combination of the castle palace, 3 opening, the solar, we'll call it the solar trinity, it's got a funny name, triptych. We have them all around the world, 3 symbolic portals to 3 sun stars, and of course on the top of it there are 3 jewels, but they've shown them in a very odd formation because there's nothing on the front here. It's open in the front, yet there's this one on the back. Now look at the one on the back. I'm sure these are representations of those 3 suns. 1 is active, 2 are dormant. That could be a symbolic depiction of the Stargate itself in the crown, which is a symbol for the Stargate, as you see in my 2-hour documentary. If that's a star map, then what about the next greatest city in the United States of the New World? Washington, D.C. It's the same star map. There's the obelisk, the Egyptian type obelisk for the X that marks the spot. The area of Roswell and Arlington, coincidentally, has an illuminated effect that look like the stars. And the Pentagon with this pointer, that's north pointer, it's telling us it's basically a map. There is the direction of north, and to consider it as stars, you also need to consider the story of what's on Mars. The area of Cydonia coincidentally has an exact match, specifically that aspect, to Washington, D.C. with a north pointer, and on Mars that goes in a northerly direction. What is on Mars is almost identical to Washington, D.C. And of course the Mars star map has the most amazing correlation that just defies possibilities. It is not a coincidence. And then sun-like stars correlating accordingly here. Wow, it's still mind-blowing when I watch it in my own slideshow. The Pleiades, Roswell and Arlington, most likely the leg of the bull, illuminating at night to show these sun-like star correlations. Wow. Stonehenge, same thing, leg of the bull. This is what it looked like in ancient times. There's probably a causeway, I put it in here, but there were also 4 little mounds shown around it with the X that marks the spot, and there's a human code geometry that fits in there. There it is there for Stonehenge. It's in the 2-hour documentary. But what I picked up recently with a satellite image I'm about to show you is this amazing geoglyph. Is it a knight with a shield, and he's got a lance showing the way to Stonehenge? Or is it an ancient astronaut showing the way? There it is, very slightly visible in this particular image. The credit goes to these guys from Google Earth, and I think it's showing that leg of the bull, ancient astronaut showing the way to the X that marks the spot, the sun correlating monument. There's more on that developing. See, watch my website. The Jerusalem story of the leg of the bull, that is the shape of the fortress that was built around the temple. The hill of Caiaphas Palace had exactly the same monument as we find in ancient Egypt, which is gold, probably gold capped as well. Is the X that marks the spot. Lalibela has the same star map. I'm not going to go too much in these. It's in the 2-hour documentary. Leg of the bull follow to the little church that is exactly carved out as the X that marks the spot with a sun-like star. That is the place of our origins, in my opinion. Same star map, okay? And then of course my latest one, which is the Acropolis in Greece. Doesn't look like a leg of the bull there because that's how it looks now, but there's a story behind what's missing here, and you'll see it in the 2-hour documentary. And we rebuild it again from the records of an ancient cyclopean wall that was around the whole thing. And there is the X that marks the spot. Also a X-based monument where they built an observatory on it more recently. But it's quite likely they used the original base X marking the spot to build the observatory. All in the 2-hour documentary on how we reconstruct that. Star map Paris, there is the Arc de Triomphe. It has a sun pattern designed floor around it that is now very faded. But of course there is the park that is the shape of the leg of the bull. Let's call it a coincidence when you look at just this much evidence. But the whole of Star map Paris is tied in with what's down here, and that will complete the story. In Cape Town, same thing again, using a park, a garden area that's been separated from the city developments in the shape of a leg of the bull, and a star castle. The star castle of Good Hope is the X that marks the spot. Ancient knowledge brought forward, as above, so below, building on the ground to match important parts of the heavens. Machu Picchu recently launched in the 2-hour documentary, leg of the bull as well, and there is a big part on the face monument hill that correlates with the alignment. There's a whole story there on the 2-hour documentary. And of course we get back to Dendara Zodiac now. We were looking at the ceiling, but this Dendara Zodiac has its own video now, decoding this leg of the bull, human male, human female, first like Adam and Eve with the star bull on top of it and a bird founding civilization. This is a big story, and obviously it needs a lot to go through. But what's important here is the cleaver of Mithras is in the story, pointing down to it as well. The cleaver needs to be covered over briefly here, relating to this sun-like star here, right here, in Mithraism. That's from the 2-hour documentary, yes, and the shorter version I have just the Dendara Zodiac star map. There it is, leg of the bull, Orion. There's the Walduck of Orion. That's to do with the ceiling mural. When we used that to decode it, we saw that earlier. And of course the Cleaver constellation that's shown in the 2-hour documentary, how we can use the cleaver to find the position of the exit marks, the spot in the sky. That's a big deal too in the big documentary. And the first humans from that star, all explained. From that, from the Dendara Zodiac, it looks like a window. We're standing in the west, looking in the easterly direction of this star rising on the horizon, like that. And all we have to do is look on the star program and you'll see it. On the 25th of December in ancient epochs as well, it's more prominent. The angle matches even better. On the 25th of December, that's the day of Sol Invictus. Before the story of the Christ, 25th of December was the time to measure this celebration of our ancestor star. That's Rosalind and Washington, by the way, just superimposed to show how similar the two are. And if this is true, in the big part of the documentary, you'll see how I compare it to the first degree tracing board. Pleiades, most important sun-like star, but here is the thing that we want to go through in this video. 7 rays of light, right there, on that document. The star map is explained in the documentary. But it's that. It's all about the 7 rays of light. And the Grail connection is another part of that ancient star map, Orion's belt, 3 suns, the womb of Nut, as above, so below, in the documentary. Now getting back to St. Peter. St. Peter is shown on top of the basilica with his finger pointing to the star castle. He is showing the secret of his key, the key of King Solomon. That is what I have decoded. Now we need to look at that star map. This is an old map of the Vatican City. Not sure the date. I think it's more recent, to be honest, but still it's one of the earliest. And it's showing what I think is a star map using the key as Orion. That key depicting Orion, following Orion to that sun. That's probably what it's doing right here. And the star castle with the Bethlehem star, that this is the exit, marks the spot. But that's only one little small part of the star map. We need to look at the whole of ancient Rome. And there's the human code that's in the middle of it. So that too matches what we find at Stonehenge, what we find on the Mars star map, an exact, unique geometrical pattern of the human code. It's there. Now, looking at the Vatican from above, there's the key. There is the monument of Popolo and the Pantheon, both huge star markers. The 7 hills of Rome. That is why they chose to build that star castle in line with that pattern, because it coincidentally is very similar to the Pleiades. I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's that Freemason star map that we looked at earlier. I think the Freemasons should be proud of what they've got. My theory is just taking their story further, making it more majestic, and identifying really amazing things. But this is just a theory. That's all it is, just a theory, until scholars come forward and do more to prove it. The Baphomet, a torchbearer. The historical Baphomet of the Templars, an encoded personification and teaching of great secrets and wisdom of humanity, bearing the torch, okay? Followers of authority and power decided her sacred knowledge was not for commoners, and they encoded her benevolence into something that was falsely demonized. If common people were caught with these demonic records, they could be charged and punished as heretics. Now, did she really have a goat head. It's a feminine person, deity. I don't think she was goat-headed. The important part here is the torch bearing, carrying the secret forward on top of her head. I think she would have looked like this, and that's why I had to redraw it completely. 3 sun-like stars, yes. One of the sun-like stars in the birth position with the tree of life, and she carries the human geometry as her knowledge, her head, her brain, her great knowledge with the torch, and the human code holding the torch pretty much explains it. So it's the sacred feminine in terms of a divine human genesis. Goddess Nut of ancient Egypt, yes. Goddess Sophia of ancient Greece, yes. The feminine creator legend of Barbello, definitely. All these legends tie into the Baphomet. This is something that's so important and sacred, and she's using the 3 finger stance to show there are 3 heavenly bodies. But here's the thing, there's more. On her arms it says Solve Kabbalah. The old name was Coagula, and it means Kabbalah. And here's an interesting coincidence. I have a Kabbalah star map, taking the style of presenting the Pleiades in this pattern. It's common for the Pleiades to be presented as 7 dots with 1 in the middle. That's part of the Nebrides star map. Part of the Templar star map is Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. 3 sons personified. It was actually sacred feminine at one stage, with the cross underneath it to find the position of that sun-like star. And it's basically these stars we're talking about here as a solar trinity. But what's amazing is the star positioning here as Orion on the Kabbalah. They use John Dee's monad, which is the cross, a sun, and a crescent, in my opinion. And it is shown as the most important one is the one at the bottom that ties in with our reality, our sun system, and they put a cross on the sun. Not a coincidence. So it's separated there in reality, but all is one. And to add these teachings in with it, with the star map, quite a good idea initially, but it's just created confusion. And of course, Judaism origins are behind the Kabbalah. And remember, they started with the bull and the sun disk, with the story of Moses. So is it a star map? Of course, if we have this history tied in with it, it's not a far-fetched interpretation. The Holy Grail, as I cover in the 2-hour documentary, is basically those 3 sun-like stars, the 3 in the sky being the chalice, and the Orion cross finding the way to it, just like the Kabbalah star map. So she is the human blueprint code as a flame keeper, and there is the human geometry. It's in the 2-hour documentary, how I decode that sacred geometry from the Vitruvian man. And we have to look at other ancient organizations, the Rosicrucians, mainly P. Hall, the biggest name. He is a initiate of the flame. This is his book, Sun and Crescent, the cosmic conduit, open here. It is no coincidence that the Rosicrucian story is tied in with it. He speaks of a line with 3 suns on its head, as we see on Sidonia. When you look at the Sidonia star map from even higher up, you'll see the giant lion. He is a flame keeper. Inca Manco Capac is shown with the star map and the cosmic line, cosmic conduit. All of that is in the 2-hour documentary. I just wanted to show another flame keeper here, and of course he's pointing the way right there, hand gesture. So it's all part of the same ancient teachings by the same people visiting all ancient civilizations. So we're back at Lady Liberty now, the secret of the torchbearer. A little bit more Prometheus from her torch. That's where it started. Okay, then we have Mithras. I've shown you there is the main part of how it all becomes one. Okay, and of course the 1st degree tracing board with the 7 rays, a sun crown, the Grail, as above so below, the angelic human origin star map. Definitely the secret of Lady Liberty is now a little bit more than just a theory, in my opinion, but let's keep it at just a theory for now. The torchbearer is the light bringer, the flame keeper. There's Lady Liberty up close. What about her human secret, a human genome secret, a message of humanity's origins? We're going to look for that now. There are 7 of these statues built by James Muir, titled Allegorical. He's probably a famous Rosicrucian, some say. He's made 7 of these for the 7 continents. It's Lady Liberty, crown, but as an angel. But there's a massive clue here. The earrings, for example, have the sun and exoplanet style. The caduceus double serpents. This is Mithric, the Mithras serpents, cosmic serpents, but doing what you see here as the double helix in the caduceus manner to heal, the ancient symbol of the caduceus. It has the cosmic serpents replicating human DNA as a double helix. There's a Rosicrucian cross here, so there's a Rosicrucian story behind the Sedona statue. The Sedona statue we've just covered has the human DNA double helix, and it's an angelic liberty. Liberty, 7 rays of right, being 2 different things, the winged angelic reference and the human DNA double helix aspect. Now if I could find an ancient depiction of that with Mithras, that would tell you a lot more about Lady Liberty. And there we have it. And now what I'm going to do is go in a little bit deeper. The reason I think Mithras is shown is same as this statue, this more modern esoteric statue with wings, is to speak about its angelic aspect. That it's the human DNA of angels is not of this earth. We are the descendants of angelic lineage. The 7 rays are visible here. There are 2 serpents entwining. There's one head, there's another head. So it is a double serpent entwining. I think this most important message is about the angelic nature of our human DNA. We are the children of the deities, children of the gods. Wouldn't it be nice if you wore some sort of an emblem representing the human code message, like a scarf with a pattern? We could say, she represents humanity in some way, but they didn't want to show it, did they? But if it's a DNA pattern, it's of what's inside a human being. What is inside Lady Liberty's statue? We need to look closely at that, because I'm looking for that double helix, as you see in an Egyptian theme. Remember, the whole thing is all Egyptian theme. These sun deities, Mithric's origins, all seem to come from ancient Egypt. There it is, folks. She bears exactly that as her core staircase. Gustav probably designed this double helix pattern. It's functional. People can climb up the blue part and people can go down, so there's no obstruction in people walking. One can go up, one can go down. That is pretty amazing. Is that just another coincidence? I want you to stay right now. This work that I referred to with the Alpha Omega, and this event in 2027 with the cosmic messenger holding 7 stars, that has been extracted from the book of Revelation. But my statement that I need to make now is that this book has been altered by human hand. It's parts of it that I've been able to decode that were left behind, that even the people at the time, the monarchy control of his history, left some of the pieces for good reason, because if they were removed and made into chaos, our complete future, even with the 1%, will be at stake of being lost. So it's important that now that the book of Revelation is realized, that only some parts of it are carrying the code that we can extract information from. I want to bring another part forward. This ancient Sumerian artifact is showing what the book of Revelation proves as a star map, with the sun being behind the halo of the new returning messenger that is coming in 2027. And the artifact that I'm showing here actually has exactly what we've seen in the book of Revelation on an ancient artifact that's thousands of years old. Pleiades, sun-like star, and the exoplanet crescent. It's exactly that. First contact. We'll go through that in the 2-hour documentary rather. It's important to mention that it's showing what happened in the past, stepping off from Taurus, Gilgamesh, personified as Orion Man, all counting down to what I think is going to happen in 2027, the story of the Lightbringer. and a cosmic dragon. Look carefully in the background here, what's going on. We have a cosmic serpent dragon, in my opinion, that opens the wormhole. And that is what it's all about. That is the means of traversing time and space, is going to be explained. Now, if you take all the basis of my work, these are the 12 points that I have brought forward that are all new, original, and copywritten and protected. But take all these away, we are not going to have first dialogue base for first contact. The visitors need to show that they are our ancestors. They're connected to our ancestors who colonized this earth. If we don't have all that knowledge, if all that knowledge is removed, first contact is going to fail. And this is where I am, this tiny little speck of light at the moment, but we need it to grow. We need more flame keepers, more torch bearers to come forward and join this movement. So the 1% is not the only group of people that have this knowledge. It's for the 99%. We need the 99% to have access to this information. And if we fail, this is where something called wormwood appears. And we just can't have that. We don't want to fail at this first contact event. It speaks of this cosmic serpent dragon opening up in a place called hell. People, and you'll see people of monarchy depictions were shown in ancient manuscripts that they are going to be thrown to hell. And I'm hoping it's not going to come to that, because if you take away all the 1% that are manipulators and profiteers and wherever they are, it's going to fail. We need to save them, give them a chance. We need a period of amnesty to allow these people to be the saviors of humanity with the great fortunes that they have amounted. They can save humanity. Give them a second chance. Other depictions of hell with the Christ and this Orion cross way shower, all covered in the 2-hour documentary. My work provides the context for first contact. We've shown that just now, but it was just for the 1%. It needs to become for all of humanity. So this is why I'm calling on people to come forward and join my activity. I want people that are helping with my Patreon to stay under the radar for now, but they will go down in history. If everything I say comes to pass, it will be them that should be credited as historically making all of this understood and all of this possible. This is the latest book, documentary that I've released after my main documentary, but the main documentary is this one here. That's The Secret That Changes Everything, and that's the one that needs to be followed after this documentary. But there is my Patreon address. Please consider joining me. I can't do this on my own. Let's make that little spark that I am right now into a great big movement of flame keepers.